All right, what's going on, everybody? This is White Dragon 1987 with the Miami Dolphins, the trashiest team in the league. I got my co-host with me right here, Alpha Male, with the Ravens. What's going on, Alpha?
Alpha Male for now to you. We're definitely back. Podcast been a minute, but we are back in effect. Please tune in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Welcome you guys to another episode of Matrix Unplugged. It's been about 3 or 4 weeks since we've had one going. I'm sorry, you guys. I've been pretty busy at work. I got another position, but we got a lot to talk about. New league. So let's get straight into it. Let's go ahead and break down the league administrators that we have. The commissioners are Ravens, which is Alpha Male. You got the Chiefs, you got the Niners, and then I'm going to be the alternate commissioner. I'm not going to make too many decisions, but I'll be able to help advance the league and stuff like that. Graphics, you got the Redskins. He posted some new stuff today. It looked pretty fresh. I liked it. I'll be doing a little bit of stuff, podcasts here and there, but not as much as the Redskins. Redskins looks like he's got his shit on point, dropping stuff in the chat. And the trade committee, we have the Bucks, the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the alternates are the 49ers and myself. So, Sherrod, you want to break down to everybody why we started over and we've got a new league going on?
Yeah, definitely. So, what happened was we played our other league. It was successful. A lot of people was participating, active. We had a couple of bowls, this and that and that nature. But what occurred was a lot of people was like, hey, there's so many trades, so many movements, so many things going on, and a lot of updates, and a lot of abilities was added. So we took a vote to start all over. So we went from successful to most successful, and we restarted, and here we are.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. This week, let's go ahead and break down the standings for each division, kind of look at the playoff race. We're a little bit past the midpoint of the season, but let's go ahead and jump straight into the AFC. We're going to look at the AFC North, which is your division, Sherrod. You're leading the division at 9-1. What can you tell me about the AFC North up there, dude?
Whew. This is a tough division. First and foremost, you got this Bengals guy. Oh, he is nerve-wracking. Gets on my nerves. He plays completely different to what I'm accustomed to playing as far as top 100 player, mud players, and, different site players. He plays very unique, so he's nerve-wracking. We got the Browns. The Browns started off with a pro-like offense, and since we played, he's been playing real nice. He definitely has the confidence, and he says he's coming for my head, so I would like to see that. Steelers is a newcomer looking to learn and play a lot of people with good talent. So welcome aboard, Steelers.
Yeah, the good thing, the Steelers, they've got a lot of talent, so he's got something to build around. Definitely the Browns have talent. I know you have talent. You are one of the best trade masters I've ever seen, so good job at making some additions to your team. And I know Keith there with the Bengals, he doesn't go for those old vet players. He likes to take rookies and build them up, especially the guys that have all attributes and don't even have traits. So he's really good about building those guys up. So this is a pretty good division. It looks pretty tough. Let's keep it moving. Let's go ahead and move on to the AFC South. This is the bottom dweller division in our fucking league, dude. It is absolute hot garbage trash. Nobody in this division has a 500 record. Absolutely embarrassing. Texans, I believe we just had a new user join in. Your Texans are 4-6. Hopefully you can get it turned around. I know the last user offered the house for J.J. Watt day in and day out. He would never move him. And look at it, he's gone now. Allowing 318 points so far this season. Absolute trash defense. Titans, you're sitting at 4-6. Get it together. Jaguars 3-6. Colts 2-7. What do you got to say about this division, Sherrod?
AFC South, I will tell you this. They are coming back, and they are coming for people ahead. I played the Texans guy earlier. When I tell you he ran a pro-like offense, He has the best pocket presence I have seen in leagues this year. The best pocket presence that I have seen. And I consider myself a blitz master, and he wasn't going for it. He knew the blocking mechanics, where to shift to, who to block, who to ID, who to double team. Pro-like offense. He's going to be a problem. Titans is a new user that just started today. He said he knows what he's doing. He's not afraid of the Savages. He won't quit. He will hang in there. So I look forward to seeing what he has. Jaguars is very active and an important member of our league because he plays his games and he communicates. Thank you, Jags. At Colts, hey, you need to do better. You got one of the best old linemen in the game. You need to do better.
Jaguars, I want D-Payne. Come see me. I'll pay up for him. But looks like this division, like you said, you got some new users in the Texans and the Titans. They might get it to turn around. The good thing is that anybody in this division can take over this division and win the division. So somebody's going to make it to the playoffs out of this division. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to the AFC East. Let me tell you, I'm getting a lot of competition from the Bills. The first game we played, I had a little lead. He started catching on to what I was doing. This last game, I was focused too much on getting my breakout scenario. I lost by a touchdown, but I made a lot of dumb decisions, and he was making some really good reads passing the ball. Really good passer. But I'm leading right now at 8-2, followed closely by the Bills at 6-4, and then you got the Patriots at 4-5, and the Jets at 1-9. What do you got to say about the AFC East, Alpha?
This is the division I'm completely surprised about. And I'm going to tell you, my surprise comes from one team and one team only. And that is the Miami Dolphins. It is beyond me how the Miami Dolphins are 8-2. The sorriest team in the game on paper. Absolutely duds, true bombs. They're 8-2. Not only are they 8-2, they've put up 294 points and allowed a top defense at that 211 points. The Bills are on a neck. Me and the Bills, we made some important trades early in the season. I gave him a lot. He raped me. I get it, but I gave it to him. Linebacker, fast corner, I think, and a pick for T. Edmonds. He's using those picks well. Patriots is a learner. He's been a punching bag over the years, but he's learned and improved. It's actually a close division. It's tied for the number 2 spot, possibly a wild card spot if they hang in there. The Jets needs to do better. I understand you just joined recently. Do better. Get your team deal. Jamal Adams is one of my favorite players.
You know, I got to give a shout out to the Patriots. He's hanging right in there, and he's, one game out of being 500. He's finally starting to learn how to trade. He used to hang on to his draft picks, but then he never drafted, and he's actually making some moves. I think he's got Todd Gurley down there, so it looks like he's going to have a really nice rebuilding season, getting his team in the direction he wants them to be in. But I'm glad to see him sitting at almost 500. Jets, get it together, man. I know you like the draft, so you might be tanking, but if you're going to tank, go ahead and send Jamal Adams my way. Let's keep it moving to the AFC West. AFC West, this is a very, very challenging division. We got a two-way tie for first place. You got the Chiefs sitting at 8-2. He's one of your commissioners. You got the Raiders sitting at 8-2. You got the Chargers at 6-4 and the Broncos at 3-6. What can you add to the AFC West, Alpha? What's going on, man? What's up?
First and foremost, we have one of our commissioners. That's the coach of the Chiefs. This is a talented player, but I was kind of upset when he transitioned to the Chiefs. I was hoping he'd stay in our division with myself, Bengals, and Browns. But he's ducking. Let's just let the record be known. You guys can this. He's ducking. He want to go over there and dance with Pretty Mahomes and run after Fast Hill. You're ducking. Come back. Nonetheless, we'll see you in the playoffs. Raiders, absolutely a surprise right here. The team is not together. They have the slowest running back ever.
Yeah, that team's trash. He's looking good with them.
That team is trash. He's looking real good. That tells me this guy has talent. Be on the lookout. Superchargers, you're barely hanging in there. I think you got some outside things going on currently. You need to focus on the 100 yards in between the lines on the green field. Let's get back on the sticks, Superchargers. Broncos have been in and out of users. I think we got a solid user now. He's going to be there, hang in, and build the team up.
Hey, Broncos, I didn't forget. I'm going to come after Von Miller in the offseason. We'll make a trade. We'll make it happen. Let's move on to the NFC side now. So we got the NFC North. This is another one of those divisions where everybody is 500 or less. So really this thing's still up for grabs. You got the Vikings sitting at 5-5. The Lions at 4-5. The Bears surprisingly at 4-6, and most shockingly, the Packers at 2-8. Alpha, let me know what's going on with this NFC North, because a lot of teams here should have a winning record. I don't know what's going on here, man.
Yeah, this is a shaky division. First and foremost, I want to say it contributes to a frequency of different users, but I believe we got some solid users now. The Packers is in. He plays a blitz-heavy game. He's solid on offense. The Bears is a new user. He just joined recently. He said he'd come to bring the pain and problems. He didn't like the score of his last game with him and St. Louis Rams, so he said he vowed for that to never happen again. The Lions been ghosts, incognito. I'm worried about your Lions. You're a veteran. I'm worried about you. We got people looking to take your place, brother, but we've been holding your spot because you're a veteran. Communicate with us. Let us know where you're at. You play your games, though, but you be ghost a lot more lately. Keep it up, do better. Vikings, he's another vet. He's currently sitting at the top of the division due to a solid offense and a solid defense. He had a few rough breaks. I've seen a couple of games. It was tough on him. It will get better. NFC North, it's a toss-up. Anybody can make it.
Yeah, it's a toss-up, but I think I got a feeling this new Bears user, I think he's got something to prove. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I'll look for the Bears to take this division. Moving on to the NFC South. NFC South, the Falcons have a 3-game lead with an 8-2 record, followed by the Panthers at 5-5, the Saints at 5-4, the Buccaneers at 2-7. What can you tell me about the NFC South, Alpha?
Let's just say NFC South, what was assumed to be taken over by the Panthers, who has one of the most prolific and dynamic offenses on the game. Let's just start with these Panthers, and then I get to how much of a disappointment he has been. First and foremost, at quarterback, he have Cam Newton. Wide receivers, he got DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, and Samuel. Running back, he has Mr. Saquon Barkley. You're such a disappointment right now, Panthers. You're very much so a disappointment. When I made those trades to you, I envisioned you taking it to the Super Bowl, and unfortunately, you headed for the Bum Bowl.
Hey, let me tell you, too, so with the Panthers, he hit me up. He got Josh Rosen from me, so I got a draft pick, and he's been building Josh Rosen. So I saw that he had Cam Newton sitting on the bench. I hit him up. I was thinking, hey, old man Cam, they stripped away his X factor. He's just a star trait. And I told him I'd trade for him, but he's wanting the house for him. Don't really understand why you got a $25, $30 million backup quarterback, and you're going to hold on to him like that. But everything happens for a reason. Thank you. I went after Mitch Trubisky. I got Trubisky running the show for me now. So, Panthers, thank you very much for saving me a first-round draft pick, sir.
Give credit to these Falcons. I've heard some wins, and those wins been screaming louder and louder. The Falcons are for real.
Absolutely. Look at that, 358 points. These guys are putting up. Calvin Ridley is absolutely stupid this year.
Those numbers are bananas. Not to mention, he is an animal lurker with Deion Jones. Pick City, watch out for him. The Saints is similar to the Bengals. They both have very unique games, and they play solid defense. It's either they got you or they don't have you, but it's very unique. It's unorthodox to what you probably used to playing. The Buccaneers is on the rise. He just need to commit to a style of play. He tries too many things out. Let me try my tight end out. Let me try my wide receiver. Let me try my running back. Commit to a style of play, Buccaneers, and you will be in the running for the man in NFC South.
And that's one thing I've noticed about the Buccaneers. That's our boy, DNL42 Darnell. He's on the trade committee. He's solid. He understands the game of football like nobody else. But sometimes I wonder if he's playing 2K instead of Madden. Stick to what works. Either use the run game or build your pass game. Kind of make you a nice template and build a solid foundation. I think he's trying to do too much. He's trying to, like you just said, he's trying to get the running back going, then receiver over here. You got to stick to what works, and you got to keep it moving. I hope he gets it in the right direction. Let's keep it moving to the NFC East. The NFC East, you got the Giants at 8-2. another prolific offense, 296 points. You got the Eagles sitting at 6-3. They've been dropping people off. They've got a really, really, really nice offense. 314 points scored. I want to say that's top 3 in the league. You got the Redskins sitting closely right behind them at 6-4, and then you get the Cowboys at 3-6. What can you tell me about the NFC East, Alpha?
There's a lot of things to say, but let's just start off with this. I'm going to start with these Eagles. When I tell you these Eagles are a problem, they are a problem. First and foremost, they have this running back, and this running back is running wild and bananas. He's a fiend of crack cocaine, methamphetamine, and everything you want to give this guy. He is running all over the field. That's mixed with the number 2 defense in the league. Eagles is playing lights out football. He's a sleeper no one is talking about. Be on the lookout for him. Now these Giants made a questionable trade, and I question their skills. They traded away Saquon Barkley. Are you out of your rat's ass mind? It's what I assume. Lo and behold, I was wrong. The Giants been dominating, as you said, almost 296 points on offense, and haven't given up only but 201 points on defense. They're good. The Redskins, this is a close division now. We talking about 8-2, 6-3, 6-4. The only bums of this division is one. Pardon me, that was plural. I should have said singular. Singular bum.
Paper trail, hot garbage.
His name is Paper Trail. He is trash. Garbage disposal times 2. This guy, he's on his way out of the league with an excuse to play 2K.
And let me tell you this. So, I'm really looking forward to playing the Eagles and the Giants with my bum-ass Dolphins team. I'm 2-0 against this division. But let me tell you, the Redskins, they put up a nice fight. But the Cowboys, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan in real life. And, Trail, you have let me down. You've embarrassed me. You had one of the best teams in the game, and you destroyed them. You traded away Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, your offensive line. You traded away Vander Esch. You traded away Byron Jones. You traded away DeMarcus Lawrence. You traded away your draft picks. I don't know what you're doing, but it's not working, bro. You fucked up. Terrible GM skills this year. On our last franchise, he was really making those Panthers work. He made me proud. I'm sure he made you proud, you being a Panthers fan. But he is letting America down, America's team. I mean, he's looking like ISIS out there because this is not America's team. This is absolutely terrible.
And it's sad because he did not have that many moves to make to compete. No. If anything, he probably needed to get another receiver maybe. Build up his running backs, build up his D-line. But the moves he made were dumb, asinine.
Made his team worse.
It's the move that you make when you're an NFL coach, and as soon as you make those moves, you're going to be a JV assistant on the sideline for elementary school.
Absolutely. Well, let's move it on. I'm sick of talking about these damn Cowboys. Charles letting me down. NFC West. In the NFC West, we got the Rams. Same Rams from our last franchise. He's sitting at 7-3, leading the division. Cardinals at 7-4. Niners at 3-7. In the extreme bottom of the league, hot garbage Seattle Seahawks at 0-10. They couldn't buy a win. There's absolutely no way they're going to win a game this year. I don't know what they're doing, Sherrod. What's going on, Alpha? What's up?
I think the Seahawks are having some outside the lines problems. He's currently in and out of rehab, trying to fight a drug habit.
Okay, well, totally understood then, man.
I talked to Coach. Coach said, we're going to do better. I'll be out of here soon, and we're going to bounce back next year with the current college drafts. The thing I want to talk about in this division is one team before I move on to the other two. The Cardinals. The Cardinals have one of the most dynamic offenses in the game and are star-studded. They have Julio Jones and Antonio Brown at wide receiver. Arguably the best wide receivers in the last 10 to 15 years.
And don't forget young blood Andy Isabella. Andy Isabella looking nice out there too.
In the slot, that is dangerous, extremely dangerous. And they got Lawrence at DT, Pat Peterson, Jones. They got the young stud safety Savage. It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, this division looking pretty nice. It's going to be a two-way race. Rams and Cardinals. I don't know if they have to play again or not this year, but I'll definitely be tuning into that one. So now that we've talked about all the division standings, I want to go ahead and check out all the players of the week for each week. So week 1 for the NFC, you had Calvin Ridley. He had 4 catches, 234 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That tells me one thing and one thing only. This guy's hitting people with one-play touchdowns. He's hitting y'all with 70, 80, 90-yard one-play touchdowns. Be careful. He's going over top. On the NFC side for week 1, you had Ogletree, middle linebacker with 9 tackles, an interception, forced fumble, fumble recovery, 2 defensive touchdowns. Excellent week. Over on the AFC side, when I started the league, I did have Andrew Luck from free agency. I had a pretty good week 1. I had 342 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 6 carries for 39 yards. And then you had Henry, the right end for the Texans on the defensive side for week 1, 6 tackles and 4 sacks. Moving on to week 2, the players of the week for the NFC, you had Miles Sanders, 27 carries, 234 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 50 receiving yards. Over on the NFC defensive side, you had Reddick at middle linebacker with those bum-ass Cowboys. He did have 4 user picks and 1 touchdown, so I have to say, paper trail with the Cowboys. He is one of the best users in the league. He just doesn't understand coverages. That's the biggest problem he has. Going over to the AFC side, in week 2, old man Frank Gore with the Bills, 15 carries, 129 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. I never thought I'd see a stat line like this with old-ass Gore, but he was out there in that wheelchair just a-rolling. In the AFC defensive side for week 2, you had Fowler Jr., 8 tackles, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. I don't know how you do it, man, but that shit is unreal. 7 sacks in one game. That is sick, Alpha. Awesome work. Week 3, the NFC players of the week for offense, you had Matt Ryan, 15 of 21 for 384 yards, 7 passing touchdowns, only 1 pick. The defensive side, he cleaned up. He took both awards. He got the AFC and the NFC player of the week. He had Deion Jones with 7 tackles, 2 sacks, and 1 interception. Over on the AFC side, DeAndre Hopkins in week 3 with 11 catches, 286 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. And I've got Howard there for week 3, 4 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. I picked him up in a trade from you, Alpha, and he was working pretty nice for me until I got a few other acquisitions. Moving on to week 4, the NFC players of the week for the offensive side, you had Kyler Murray with 391 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns. Alpha, this is that vaunted passing offense you were talking about, having Julio, Isabella, having Antonio Brown, making it work up there, dude. You also had Savage from the Cardinals on defense. He had 3 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, so he swept the player awards that week. For week, this is week 4 or week 5, I lost track, you guys, but over on the AFC side, Ezekiel Elliott, 20 carries, 215 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and 3 catches for 12 yards. Over on the AFC side, again, a familiar face, Henry, 8 tackles, 7 sacks. So it looks like he's a sack master just like you, Alpha, knowing how to get those guys in the backfield. Moving on to the next week, we had Devontae Freeman with the Falcons, 18 carries, 94 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 catches for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sherrod, you were absolutely correct. This Falcons guy has got amazing offense. He's got people on here almost every single week, dude. Fletcher Cox for the defensive side of the NFC that week. You have 7 tackles, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and a defensive touchdown. Over on the AFC side, a familiar face, DeAndre Hopkins, 7 catches, 276 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. And then on the defensive side, you had Jones, the defensive tackle, with 5 tackles and 5 sacks. Really rare to see a defensive tackle get that many sacks, but good work. Moving on to the following week, we had Brandon Cooks with the Rams, 5 catches, 200-plus yards with 2 receiving touchdowns, 3 carries for 76 yards, and a rushing touchdown. So he's kind of getting him involved in different ways. Over on the defensive side of the NFC in that week, you had Maddox with 3 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 1 defensive touchdown. Over on the AFC side, Action Jackson, Lamar Jackson, he had 366 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He had 10 carries, 159 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. For the defensive side of the ball for the AFC that week, you had Denzel Ward with 6 tackles, 2 picks. The next week, you had, again, the Falcons. I'm telling you, they're getting a player in there every single week, you guys. You guys got to watch out for these Falcons. Calvin Ridley, NFC Offensive Player of the Week, 6 catches, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. NFC Defensive Player of the Week was Williams with 8 tackles, 2 picks, and 1 interception. Moving back over to the AFC, you had Kalen Ballage, who you got in a trade from me, Alpha, 24 carries, 188 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. And on the defensive side, you had Benagoo with 3 tackles, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Moving on to the following week in the NFC side for offense, you had Brown with the Panthers, 6 catches, 162 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. On the NFC side, you had the Cardinals showing up with DeMarcus Lawrence. He had 5 tackles, 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Moving over to the AFC side, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week was Tom Brady, 325 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 sacks, but 2 rushing touchdowns. Goat Madden, fantastic. I don't know when the last time is I've seen you have a Player of the Week. Good to see you on there with Tom Brady, man. Keep it up. Make it happen again. AFC Defensive Player of the Week for that week was Redwine. He had 3 tackles, 1 sack, 3 interceptions, and 1 defensive touchdown. Amazing week from Redwine that week. Moving on, again, you have Miles Sanders, a familiar face, 22 carries, 242 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Miles Sanders, if I recall correctly, he's leading the league in rushing yards, so good to see a rookie making some noise like that. Moving back over, the Cardinals got somebody popping up again with the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Savage with 4 tackles, 4 picks, 2 defensive touchdowns. Over on the AFC side, Phillip Rivers, Old Man Rivers, 379 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. On the defensive side, you got my dude Alpha Male Sherrod with Jones. He had 5 tackles, 2 picks, 1 defensive touchdown. Moving on forward, and the NFC Offensive Player of the Week for the next week was Christian McCaffrey with the Giants, 13 carries, 187 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. The Packers had the NFC Defensive Player of the Week, Zaire Smith, 7 tackles, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. AFC side of the ball for this week was my boy Tevin Coleman, who I got in a trade. He's all the way up to superstar now. 17 carries, 194 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 catches for 24 yards. And on the defensive side of the ball for the AFC, you had Randall with 4 tackles, 3 picks, 1 defensive touchdown. That was it for the players of the week. Alpha, is there anything else you want to add so far before we go ahead and wrap this thing up, dude?
Yeah, real quick, I want to give a shout out to one of the commissioners, Chief Patrick Mahomes. He is definitely showing out with this guy. There's some runner-ups that's on the lookout. Cardinals quarterback, Murray. Eagles running back, Sanders. And believe it or not, the Dolphins running back, Tevin Coleman. These are runner-ups for the MVP. Runner-ups for the MVP.
So real quick, Alpha, give me 2 teams. All right, I want you to give me your biggest surprise, your team that's the biggest surprise in our franchise so far, and the biggest disappointment so far.
The biggest surprise in our franchise is the Dolphins' record.
Well, thank you, sir.
And the Raiders' record.
Okay.
The biggest disappointment is the Cowboys. And honorable mention, biggest disappointment, the Panthers. With a dynamic team like those gentlemen have, and they're playing like ass.
You know, for me, I'm gonna have to say that the biggest surprise for me, that's a tough one. But you know, I'm gonna have to say, I think I'm gonna have to say the Falcons. Didn't know much about that user coming in, and he is dominating, man. I mean, he's leading pretty much all categories, and you know, he shipped away Julio Jones and a couple other pieces. Really, really surprised that the Falcons are looking outstanding. Biggest disappointment for me, it's a toss-up. It's either going to be the bum-ass Cowboys with Luttrell, or it's going to have to be my boy With the Seattle Seahawks, we made a couple of trades together. You've got a lot of talent there, but he's got to get it together. I know he's been in the lab. I know I've seen him in some other leagues play very well. The dude can play. I just don't know what he's doing. Hopefully he's tanking, getting ready for this coming up draft. And speaking of Sherrod, this is going to be a first for me. I've never done a draft with an imported roster. This is going to be really new. There's a lot of players that have scouting reports, A-, A+, A's. I've never seen so many A's in a draft scouting report as we have for this upcoming one. I think we're going to be shocked at some of the overalls that come out, and I'm very, very fortunate to say I have 3 first-round draft picks. What do you got to say about this upcoming draft?
I think this is a draft that you can complete your team in if you need it. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth round. Chase Young sitting at the top of the draft boards currently. This guy's going to be a problem for whoever have a top 10 pick. Quarterback Joe Burrow, if you need one, he will be life-changing. Tua, this guy's amazing. Justin, I'm on the lookout for you. O-lineman, you got the linebackers, you got Judy, the wide receiver, you got the running backs, safeties. This is going to be an interesting draft. I, too, am unfamiliar with this. There has only been one person that dealt with this, and that's the commissioner for the Chiefs. We all are unfamiliar with it, stayed out of it. We should see how it shows out.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed in our last franchise, our last Matrix, where we got through like 3 or 4 seasons, we never saw a wide receiver come out of the draft that had superstar or X Factor. And I have a feeling one of these wide receivers coming out are going to have X Factor, are going to have superstar. I think this is going to be something totally new for us. It seemed like in our last drafts that we used to have, the only players that came out with X Factor or superstar were quarterbacks, running backs, corners, and safeties. Only a few linebackers and defensive ends, too. I don't think we ever saw, though, an X Factor or superstar defensive tackle or an X Factor or superstar wide receiver. So I look forward to seeing this wide receiver class because I desperately need some speed on my team.
Right.
But
I want to interject real quick, and this is something that I want to respond to DMs that I receive. We got a lot of intermediate, novice, vets, competitive players, and few people DM me asking for assistance. So the first things first, they say, how are you able to run like that and get those yards or pass like that and get blocking? There's a blocking mechanism on the game only you can use during the game. It's called coaching adjustment. That coaching adjustment allows you to block conservatively, balancedly, or somewhat aggressively on run plays. It's there for a reason. Use it. Use it, especially if your offensive lineman or whomever has the trait discipline. Use the blocking mechanism. It works. 3rd and short, 4th and 1, things of that nature. It works. It works. It works. Running with Lamar, you don't want him to fumble. Put him on balance. Running with a running back that has a tendency to fumble, put it on balance or conservative or whatnot. There's a tip for the DM, seek for help. Here's another tip. Someone says about defense. How do I know when to play man? How do I know when to play zone? You have to look at your opponent's roster and look at your roster. One of the key things I look at when deciding whether to play man defense, I'm going to look at speed, I'm going to look at the size of the cornerback, and I'm going to look at agility. Man defense, number one thing is agility. If you get pass rush, you can have the slowest cornerback ever. But if you have agility, you're able to maneuver and deflect the ball. Zone also requires agility because it allows you to bite on the ball. But one of the most important things in zone is acceleration. Acceleration and play recognition. Play recognition meaning I see where the ball is going. I can accelerate to it and knock it down because I'm sitting in a sit position, a zone. So those are some of the things to look at when you decide whether to play a defense or not. Here's a route combo that's been classic since Madden way back yonder. Corner, shriek, flat. You heard of that, right, Mikey?
Absolutely, because one of them is going to be open. I usually hit that that corner or that flat. A lot of people want to leave the flats open. Everybody's going for these one-play touchdowns, but the way I play, I like to run the ball, and I'm going to dink and dunk you. And everybody's usually going to be putting all their corners and safeties deep, trying to use the middle of the field. I try to stay away from the middle of the field. Sometimes I do try people. I got to be honest, I was trying the Bills today. I was testing his user skills, and he showed up. But I've definitely heard of that route combo: streak, corner, flat, streak, post, flat. Works. It's deadly.
Right. So there's a foundational offense right there. You throw in a stretch dive or a power or something of that nature, and at least you move in the chains. You want to move the chains. When you're facing a high power offense, here's the key thing: slow the game down. If you know that you're the number 32 off defense and this guy's the number 5 offense, you want to slow the game down and manage the clock. That's why we have limited play call rules, because we're not concerned with the funny business. We're concerned with getting you a W and you learning. Control the clock. You don't want to go neck and neck with a high-powered offense. The same thing with a high-powered defense. You want to have multiple options, but you want to pay attention to blitzes. You want to pay attention to what kind of defense they run, who the person is using. Watch what players are moving. Pay attention. Slow the game down. If you don't slow the game down and you try to play a competitive player's game, you're going to lose every single time. Work your playbooks. Go into playbooks and find different things. If I have great tight ends and good old lines, I'm going to run heavy formations, single backs, things of that nature. If I have good wide receivers, I'm going to run shotgun. I'm going to run 3 receivers from single back, things of that nature. You got to know your personnel.
Absolutely. And, let me go ahead and I guess, throw in my 2 cents, too, if I can go ahead and give you guys some tips. So I'm definitely not at the same skill level you are right now, but back in the day, I used to be much better. I used to be a tournament player. I fell off since. I've been playing Madden for 21 years, 22 years. And the older I get, I lose stick skills. I don't keep up with the metas. But this is what I can give, a good tip I can give to all you novice guys, all you rookies. If you know you're not the best at usering, if you know you don't have the best stick skills, focus on building your team. Pay attention to those breakout scenarios. If you guys see those breakout scenarios that pop up and show, hey, you got to get 2 touchdowns and 100 receiving yards to get this receiver or superstar, no matter what you do, even if you lose the game, feed that wide receiver. If you get something for your running back that says, hey, if your running back is a normal trait, if you get 100 yards and a touchdown, he'll go to star trait, focus on getting that for your running back. This is how you build your teams. This is how I'm building my Dolphins. This Dolphins team was absolutely garbage. But because I've spammed players, when I get the breakout scenarios, I was able to get Jerome Baker from normal trait all the way to superstar. I was able to get Raekwon McMillan up to superstar. I was able to go ahead and get Danielle Hunter up to X Factor. I was able to get, who else did I have? Tevin Coleman. I was able to get him up to superstar. You've got to pay attention to these breakout scenarios. Also, if you know you're having a bad year, spam players and try to build players. Stop focusing on trying to get a win if you know you can't win. Build your young guys. Bring your young dudes in there. Build your team. And that's the way I try to play Madden now. I know I don't have the stick skills to compete for a Super Bowl every year. I'm going to make the playoffs. That's a given. But I know I won't have the stick skills to compete for a Super Bowl. I just try to put the best team on the field. I focus on building, my draft capital, trying to get as many draft picks as I can. Primarily first-round picks. Pretty much you can trade away your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round pick, pile up 2 or 3 first-round picks, call it a day. Don't go broke in free agency. I've never signed a free agent that changed my team. Usually you try to get those under-the-radar guys, but focus on building your team. I'll tell you guys right now, if you take somebody who is pretty good at Madden and you give them the Dolphins, and you take somebody who's trash and you have a team that's built with 90-plus overall players, superstar X factors, just because of the game mechanics, it's going to be challenging to beat that person that has those X factors and superstars. They're automatically going to get different animations. They're going to have higher attributes. You can trigger different things with them. So focus on building your team. If you don't know how to draft, then get rid of your draft picks and get players. If you don't know how to build players, then trade away your young players and trade away your draft picks and go ahead and get those veteran guys that have X Factor or have Superstar. But be involved in the trade market. Build your team, you guys. Don't get stuck on your team because you like them. Don't get stuck on fan favorites. Everybody should be negotiable. Try to put the best team on the field. That's the best tip that I can give you from somebody who's not the best on the sticks. Anything else you want to say to close this thing out, Alpha?
Yeah, I do. Here's another tip. And someone asked me this. Say they feel uncomfortable blitzing. They just want to get coverage sacks or block shed. Here's a tip. If you have finesse D linemen, pinch your line, crash out. If you have power D linemen, pinch your line, crash down. That's simple.
Absolutely.
That's simple.
And
other than that, what you got for me?
And if you guys have those defensive ends and defensive tackles that have X Factor and Superstar, and you do that, it's going to help you out with those mechanics. You know, if you pinch that line and crash them down, it's going to help them get off the block if they've got, X Factor, Superstar, different abilities. Same thing if you're, slanting outside if you have speed guys. Also know the type of defense you guys are running. I'm going to be honest, 4-3 is kind of dead this year. Unless you guys are having success, I would probably stay away from it. 4-3 is not that great unless you know how to make it work. But if you do have 4-3, make sure you have guys that are really fast on your outside defensive ends. You don't want some big old fat fuckers like a defensive tackle out there. I guess kind of going with what you were saying earlier on in the podcast, know your personnel. If you know you have really big, strong, fat dudes on the line, then you're going to want to run 3-4. Put your big, huge, fat guys that have a lot of strength and good block shed on the line. Put all your fast linebackers out there at the linebacker position. If you know you've got some faster defensive ends, you might want to run a 4-3. But get creative. Another thing, you guys, too, stop using these generic playbooks. Most people that I play, I see people using the Cardinals playbook, the Saints playbook, Falcons playbook, West Coast, whatever. Go build your own playbook. Go into practice mode, and there's usually 500 plays in a playbook. I don't know about you, Alpha. I have never in my life used 500 plays. I trim my playbook down to about 180 plays, and of those 180, I usually call like the same 20 or 25 plays. So having a playbook with 500 plays in it, you're just making it harder for you to sort through and find what you're looking for. Go to training mode. Get a piece of paper, write down some plays that are trash that you just can't do anything with in practice mode, and make sure you just have your good plays in there. There's certain plays to stay away from. When it comes to running the ball, the only plays worth running are dives, stretches, and powers. All the other trash is garbage this year. The toss is dead. Forget trying to use it. If you guys see that shit that says like 24 weak and 24 zone and misdirection, all that stuff is garbage. Stick to dives, stretches, and I already forgot the other one. Powers. Yeah, dive, stretch, and power. Those are the best runs for this year, you guys. So stick to those. When you're passing the ball, get creative. Start learning how to use the hot routes. 90% of people that I play in different Madden leagues, they've not even done the skills trainer. I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but if y'all think y'all are going to hang with people in a 32-man league and y'all don't even know the skills trainer and how to play the game, it's not going to end well. Take the weekend, kiss your babies, send them off to the kennel, do whatever you got to do, go get into the training mode, and learn how to play this game. The reason that Alpha is so good, the reason that I've had success with the Dolphins, I know how to play the game. And I know that sounds simple, and people think I'm bullshitting. No, I understand what cover 2 does. You have to understand what cover 3 does. You have to understand how to beat a cover 3. You have to understand how to get pressure. You have to understand how to use the juke moves, how to use the modifier, how to use the superstar abilities. Go to skills trainer. Get gold in everything. You guys got to get gold in everything so you can understand how to play the game.
Right. And also, while we at it, re-sign your players. Re-sign your players at the end of the year. We will not be holding players. We try not to make that a habit unless there's an extreme emergency. Re-sign your players. Good people, please do that. Other than that, stay active in the league. Say some things in the chat. Let us know you here. Respond to your opponent when they are reaching out, trying to at you or DM you. Inactiveness in the league will get you booted. It is discussed with you when you are vetted for the league. It will get you booted, and I know there's 1,000,001 leagues, but one thing you will say, we was candid and honest with you. Be active, play your games, respond to communication. If you can't play because you off making your millions of dollars or your husband needs you, tell your opponent, I am unable to play tonight, my husband needs me, etc. Whatever the reason may be. Play your games.
And that's the biggest thing. We're never going to kick somebody out for taking some forced losses. We're not going to kick anybody out if you're trash. The biggest thing is communication. We don't care if you go 0-16 every single year. We don't care if you have to give out 4 or 5 forced wins a year, because, hey, I've got a different schedule than most of the guys, stuff like that. So just be interactive in the chat and let people know what's going on. Do like Alpha said, if your opponent hits you up, stop all this yo shit. Let me tell y'all right now, I cannot stand it. It's a big pet peeve of mine when I hit people up and I say, hey, I'm off today. My schedule tomorrow is 2 to 10 o'clock. What's your schedule? And the response I get is yo. Yo is not a schedule. Yo is not your work schedule. Yo is not what time you're able to play. Stop being like 5-year-olds, you guys. Let people know, hey, what's going on? I'm the Dolphins. I'm the Cowboys. I'm whoever. I'm off tomorrow, and today I work until midnight. If you just say yo or you say what's good, it's kind of hard to figure out somebody's schedule, and y'all start this jaw-jacking bullshit left and right, and y'all filling up my chat, and I'm going to have to kick your ass out for bullshit.
Absolutely. So give a time. Real quick, I want to let you guys know the commissioners are myself, the Dolphins, San Francisco 49ers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. If you have a problem, reach out to a commissioner. When trade season open back up, we have a trade committee. Myself is on there, Mikey's on there, Dolphins, San Francisco 49ers, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys. We'll be looking for one more member so the commissioners can step away from it and only could overrule or make even decisions. Other than that, Alpha Male is here. It's been great. We look forward to the next podcast to discuss details and anything going on with the league. Welcome all the newcomers. We got several newcomers, too many to mention, but welcome you guys. Be in contact with us. White Dragon, I'm out of here. It's on you, brother.
All right, take it easy, Alpha. You guys, thank y'all for tuning in to the podcast. As usual, you can pull up all the old podcasts on the YouTube channel. If you guys ever need any tips, you guys have any questions, hit up the Ravens, Alpha Male. Hit myself up. I don't have near the stick skills he has, but I can still get you in the right direction. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you next time.